What's up, everybody? This is another episode of SPORTS-REUBEN-LIFE, episode number 13. First part of today's show is going to be on YouTube. Second part of the show is going to be on Facebook. Check them out. The links will be in the bottom or rather the description. So anyways, I want to get right into it. I'm going to talk about the Oakland Raiders and how tonight they're playing with a record of 4-4. They start the second half of the season, and the expectations weren't very high for them, but the fact that they're playing 500 ball this late into the season says a lot about, I think, the coaching staff. It says a lot about the fact that, they have been able to withstand the adversity of the whole Antonio Brown kind of debacle. Who handled it right? Who handled it wrong? Was it mostly Antonio Brown overreacting? Was it the Oakland Raiders not dealing with it correctly? I don't think it's really appropriate to debate that in this particular video. I think what I want to get to is the fact that, good, bad, or indifferent, that was a big shot to the Oakland organization in terms of having a player of that caliber slated to play. The anticipation was that he was going to be there. He's going to be a game changer. He's going to come out and he's going to do well. And what happens? He doesn't. It never materializes, right? Antonio Brown ends up leaving. He goes to the Patriots, and then that doesn't work out right. But more importantly, the Raiders have been able to play 500 ball. There's a lot of teams that had higher expectations that have fallen short. They were on Hard Knocks, right? And Hard Knocks, it's kind of a small window or kind of a small peep into what actually goes on in an organization. Obviously, it's a business, right? Obviously, it's a form of entertainment, and so you have to be entertaining. So Antonio Brown, it's kind of two factors with him, right? One, he's a tremendous player in the field, but he's definitely an undeniable personality, right? He's been able to stay relevant in the media with his Twitter posts and his Instagram posts, and so what I find about him that's interesting is the fact that you can be put in a position where you're no longer with the team, but you're still being kind of talked about, right? So now you have all that, right? So John Gruden has to deal with that whole situation and that kind of debacle. And it seems like he handled it pretty well. I mean, to be 4-4 with low expectations, he's doing, I like what happened there, The question is, can he end the season strong? Is there even a possibility of making the playoffs? Now, when you play 500 ball through the first 4 games of the year, yes, you do have the opportunity to make the playoffs. You are in position to at least squeak in or get in. If they can get in on the first round, whether they win or lose, the fact is that if they can make the playoffs after losing an all pro level caliber wide receiver who, if he continues to play, could potentially be in the Hall of Fame, getting all these other side issues out the way. But his play on the field is ridiculous. He's a super consistent receiver, and they lost him, right? Now you have to recover when you put all your plans on that guy, and now you have to, you could have probably built I'm sure that the Raiders built an offense. They had a whole thing in place. What I think happened was, I think the coaching staff realized that they had to do double duty, and they had to come up with a way to have 2 game plans, right? They had to have 2 game plans with how they were dealing with stuff, right? They probably had to have the game plan where Antonio Brown is going to come back, and they had to have the game plan where Antonio Brown was not going to come back. He was not going to be there, right? He had that weird injury, and I think that the injury and the helmet thing kind of helped them prepare for what was going to happen, right? And so the helmet thing, the injury thing, it forced the Raiders to prepare for him to be there and for him not to be there. And that, I think that was the catalyst of the fact that they did prepare for him to be there, of them letting him go. They probably weren't, they didn't want to have to deal with this idea that the whole season they were going to deal with the ups and downs of Antonio Brown, and they didn't want to deal with that. So by them preparing to have the 2 game plans, I think it helped spur their move to move on from him. And it's obviously worked, because they've gone 4-4. They have some good victories. They got beat, right? They're 3-2 in their last 5. So it's not bad. They're playing above 500 ball their last 5 games. Their division isn't the strongest that it's been traditionally, but you still have the Chiefs there, right? The Chiefs are still a very accomplished team. So with the Raiders, you know, I think this is a very interesting game because you have the Raiders and the Chargers. It's a divisional play game, but it's also a game where the Chargers had a lot of wins last year, and this year they maybe haven't lived up to quite expectations because they themselves have been dealing with a controversy with their running back, right? And so he either playing or not playing, that wishy-washy nature of the player saying that he wants a big contract or he wants this or he wants that, it really does detract for the consistency or for the ability to the coaching staff to effectively game plan. Because when you game plan, you want to know all the pieces you have at your disposal, right? So like with John Gruden, it's an interesting thing because it seems like he made a decision quick. He quickly made a decision before all the season unraveled, because once the season's going, it seems like there's always a sense of catch up with NFL season. There's so many variables, right? What's interesting about football is because there's so many different players on the team. There's so many players, you know, every play has 22 players. There's so many moving pieces. If you don't have a clear game plan, and I think John Gruden recognized that, as being as experienced that he is, he recognized the fact that if you don't have a clear game plan in a solid direction with the known pieces that you have and not anticipating that maybe this guy will come back. I mean, he's a tremendous player and everybody wishes that he stayed with the Raiders, but John Gruden recognized early that if you don't develop an alternative kind of path, you're going to be stuck in the mud for the whole season, because now you're going to be playing extreme catch-up, and now you're going to be in a position where you're not going to be able to get critical victories, right? This is all in the margins, right? We're talking small percentage points here. We're talking a 1 or 2% difference in victories and losses with the NFL, because everybody's good. All coaches are capable. They're all vetted. They've been there for a long time. When we see teams that can't get any victories, we think, oh, that's a horrible coaching staff. No, they're a capable coaching staff. They're just being out-coached by people that recognize that you need to have that 1 or 2% advantage so you can get victories. And so if you take those 1 or 2% advantage, i.e. the Patriots, you're 7-1, 8-1. The 49ers 8-0. These teams that have winning records, right? So I think the Raiders have an opportunity to make the playoffs this year. They moved on from the whole Antonio Brown situation. They separated themselves right away. They moved forward. They moved on. They already had a game plan because he was already hurt. And so I like what the Raiders are doing. I'm not a huge fan of the Raiders, but it seems like they've kind of come out of the hole and they're moving in the right direction. And I think that has a lot to do with, organizationally, in management, John Gruden. John Gruden put his best foot forward, and he's the factor that's different from all the other previous years where things have come unraveled, okay? Gruden has made a difference. Is he worth the $10 million a year? I would say by the 4 victories the first half of the season this year, I would say yes. His philosophy, his idea at the beginning of the season to come up with an alternative game plan, because they mentioned that in Hard Knocks, right? His ability to have this, you know, forethought and say that we have to prepare for what we have. I mean, he was saying it, and a lot of people were kind of upset about the whole situation. However, it seems like he was deemed to be correct. So I like where it's going. Kudos to the Raiders and, you know, their 4 victories. So anyways, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys later. See you tomorrow.